Have you ever paused in the middle of life's rush and asked yourself, am I really on the right path? What do I truly want out of life? In our 20s, our hearts are full of dreams and burning desires. We believe time is endless, that we can do it all. But then life sweeps us along, work, responsibilities, bills to pay, and slowly, those dreams fade into the background. By 25, a quiet question arises. Have I truly given my all to what I long for? Or have I simply been living on autopilot, repeating the same routines day after day? So many plans remain unfinished. So many dreams reduced to distant echoes in memory. And when 30 approaches, we sometimes bow our heads and wonder, if I haven't dared to begin until now, is it already too late to follow my heart? But in those still, quiet moments, the heart speaks, gently, patiently. It reminds you, it's okay. It's never too late. Just take one step at a time, in your own way. If you're standing at a crossroads, if you've ever carried a dream but never dared to chase it, or if you simply long to rediscover inspiration and peace in your life, then what I'm about to share is meant for you. The Alchemist, a small book filled with timeless wisdom, doesn't hand us a formula for success. Instead, it offers a tender reminder to have the courage to return to the dreams that once lit up our youth and to listen deeply to the voice of your own heart. Welcome to Juliana Gray, a space where meaningful books become mirrors, helping us rediscover balance, peace, and inspiration in life. Here, you won't just hear a summary. Together, we'll pause, reflect, and distill timeless wisdom from each book, and explore how to weave it gently yet sustainably into our own journeys. And today, I'd like to invite you to walk alongside Santiago, the main character of The Alchemist, and listen to the timeless messages he carries about dreams, faith, and the journey of finding the treasure that belongs to each of us. The Alchemist was first published more than 30 years ago. Since then, it has been translated into 81 languages and released in over 170 countries. In Brazil, the author Paulo Coelho's homeland, people often say the fame of this book can only be compared to two sacred things in their hearts: faith in God and football. So what makes such a slim novel become a global phenomenon? Perhaps it's because, within its pages, each of us can see a reflection of ourselves in Santiago's journey. It is the story of a young shepherd who carries in his heart a dream that seems impossible. To follow that calling, he doesn't hesitate to sell his flock, his only possession, and sets out across the vast desert in search of treasure. But what makes Santiago truly remarkable is not just his courage. It's the way each step he takes mirrors our own paths. We who once had dreams, who once dared to hope, but who have stumbled many times before challenges, and wondered whether we are really walking the path our hearts desire. And that is why The Alchemist still holds its power after decades. It doesn't just tell a story, it rekindles the flame that once lit up our youth. When The Alchemist first appeared, it wasn't just another book people happened to read. It lit up confused hearts, like a small lamp glowing in the fog of responsibilities and difficult choices. The story spread across the world because readers recognized themselves in its pages. And for that reason, Paulo Coelho came to stand alongside the great voices of Latin American literature. But don't let the numbers distract you. Its real value lies in a quiet, insistent reminder. A life without purpose easily turns into a maze. You can enter that maze step by step, through choices that seem small, choosing safety over a dream, clinging to what you already have instead of facing the fear of loss. And the danger of the maze is that it doesn't scream. It wears you down slowly, until one day you wake up and realize you've been lost your whole life. The Alchemist warns us of that trap, not with grand declarations, but with patient questions. Who are you living for? What are you living for? If every decision revolves only around gain and loss, your dream will slip away like water flowing through your hands. This book doesn't shout at you to leap into change. Instead, it pulls you gently aside, offers a small test, and shows you that the very first step may be humble, but it is the step that opens the door out of the maze. And in the next part, we'll uncover how this story gently parts the fog, one layer at a time, and reveals practical steps you can take to begin walking forward, one step at a time, right in the middle of your busy life. Santiago was born into a humble family in the Spanish countryside. His parents had spent their whole lives tied to the dry, stubborn fields, and they placed all their hopes in their only son. To them, the safest and most honorable path was to become a priest, a life both stable and a source of pride for the entire family. And so, from an early age, Santiago was sent to the seminary. Everything seemed already laid out for him, as if all he had to do was follow the path set before him. But his heart was restless. Inside, Santiago stirred another calling, not the toll of church bells, but the whisper of unfamiliar roads and distant horizons. He did not want to spend his life confined within safe, familiar walls. He longed to travel, to see the wide world beyond. One day, Santiago gathered all his courage and told his father. He did not want to become a priest. He wanted to journey, to live a different life. At first, his father strongly objected. He knew too well how harsh and unforgiving the outside world could be. But faced with his son's unwavering determination, he could only fall silent. And finally, he agreed. He placed 3 gold coins in Santiago's hand, so the boy could buy a flock of sheep and begin his own journey. Those 3 coins were not just a father's reluctant compromise. They carried a quieter meaning, for deep within he too once held such a dream he had let slip away. On Santiago's journey, we come to realize a truth. He is not the only one with a dream. It seems that every person, regardless of background or circumstance, carries a quiet longing within. The father who spent his life tilling the same small patch of land once dreamed of traveling the world. The popcorn seller on the street corner had longed, since boyhood, to set foot in distant Africa. Even the old crystal merchant once wished to see the sea. But now he only imagines it through the stories of passing travelers. And even the thieves lurking at the foot of the pyramids are not so different from Santiago. They too are searching for treasure, only theirs has been twisted into greed. Dreams, it turns out, are something everyone has. But why is it that only a few dare to live for them? Because most of us are weighed down by reality. We measure, we calculate, we worry, and we convince ourselves that it is better to stay safe. And so our dreams are quietly folded away, left to rest in the drawers of memory. We think we have chosen security, but in truth, we have chosen a gentle cage, one we only recognize when youth has slipped away, leaving us with regret. Paulo Coelho gently revealed a trap that feels all too familiar, the trap of comparison. When we care too much about gains and losses, about profit and risk, our dreams slowly turn into burdens. And in the end, it is we ourselves, not anyone else, who bury them. The lesson here is not only for Santiago, but for all of us. If we lack the courage to protect the fire within our hearts, we will forever remain outsiders in our own lives. The so-called comfort zone may appear safe, but in truth, it is nothing more than a maze that repeats itself day after day. Santiago dared to do what most of us avoid. He broke free from the safety laid out before him. He left his hometown, became a shepherd, and chose a life that his heart truly longed for. For 2 years, Santiago roamed the fields, cared for his flock, learned the language of nature, gazed upon new lands, and met people of every kind. It was a life that seemed as though it could remain peaceful forever. But life always finds a way to test us once more. For 2 nights in a row, Santiago dreamt the same dream, a child leading him to Egypt, where a hidden treasure lay buried. The dream haunted him so deeply that he could not ignore it, and then he met the king of Salem. The old man told Santiago that the dream was no coincidence. It was a sign of destiny, a whisper from the depths of his own heart, treasure, an alluring vision. Yet reality also called out to him. Santiago already had his flock, a life of sufficiency, and the safety so many people long for. To abandon it all in pursuit of something uncertain, wasn't that far too reckless? In that moment, Santiago stood before the same crossroads most of us face. To remain in the comfort of what we know, or to take the risk of chasing a dream that has no clear shape. If measured only in gains and losses, Santiago would have surely stayed where he was. But the king's words awakened him. Destiny is not something predetermined. It is what our hearts quietly urge us to pursue, and when we are honest with that calling, the universe itself moves to open the path. And so Santiago chose. Once again he listened to the voice within. Once again he dared to take the leap. Because if his lifelong dream was to see the vast world beyond, then this vision of treasure was the very ticket for his heart to finally live fully. You need to understand, the most painful fall in life is not when we fail, but when we give up. When we bow our heads to reality and whisper to ourselves, "It's too late. This must be my fate." But the truth is, it's not. Destiny has never been a sentence. Destiny is meant to make you live fully, to awaken what your heart longs for, not to trap you in regret. There is a question many people wrestle with. Do we regret more the things we have done, or the things we never dared to do? Research shows that most of the things we do, even our failures, may bring regret at first. But with time, we learn to accept them, to look back and even smile. At least I tried. That regret eventually fades, but the things we never do are different. They haunt us. They turn into scratches on the soul that never heal. You can justify. You can persuade yourself. I didn't really need that anyway. Yet deep down, you know you lost something precious. And that regret can follow you to the end of your life. That is the silent tragedy of so many people. They don't collapse because of failure. They wither away because of dreams they never lived. And so, the message of the Alchemist is not a blind push forward. It is a gentle yet insistent reminder. Do not let your heart die in regret. Failure can heal, but abandoned dreams never will. A writer once said, "A dream will remain nothing more than an idea if we never dare to act on it." Dreams cannot wait, and they fear discouragement, much like steel glowing red in the fire. Only when forged at the right moment, under the right heat, can it be shaped as we wish. Once it cools, it hardens, becomes rigid, and slowly fades away. In the same way, the dreams that have long rested quietly in your heart are now beginning to stir. When your heart is still warm, when your desire still burns brightly, act. Take the first step, no matter how small, no matter how uncertain, toward what you truly long for. And who knows, even if the final outcome is not perfect, you may still discover something more valuable than the treasure itself. The days of effort, the steps you dared to take, the moments when you became stronger, freer, and closer to your true self. Because sometimes, the real value of a dream is not found in the destination, but in the way you live fully, day by day, in pursuit of it. On the road of chasing a dream, no one sails smoothly all the way. Santiago was no exception. In his first days in a foreign land, he faced two heavy blows. First, the language barrier left him confused and lost among strangers. Second, he met a fellow Spaniard, someone he thought would be a friend, an ally. But instead, the man deceived him and took all the money he carried. In a single moment, a future that once seemed bright turned suddenly dark. Santiago, who just a day before had 60 sheep, now had nothing. He stood frozen in the middle of unfamiliar streets, lonely and adrift, the weight of disappointment pressing heavily on his shoulders. Yet in that moment of near collapse, he remembered the words of the King of Salem. When you truly commit to something, the entire universe conspires to help you. Those words were not a promise of instant miracles, but a reminder. Faith and courage still live within us. Santiago picked up that faith, took a deep breath, and looked again at the world around him. The very next day, he gathered what little he had, stepped back into the streets with new eyes. He didn't know what awaited him, but he was ready to wander, to search for opportunities, for signs, for moments that might carry him closer to the treasure. Here, Santiago teaches us an important lesson. Failure, loss, loneliness, they are only tests, meant to temper the fire of determination within your heart. As long as the fire still burns, as long as faith remains, you will find a way forward even when the world seems to turn its back on you. And perhaps it is in those storm-filled days that Santiago, and all of us, learn the most about our inner strength, our persistence, and the courage to keep going even when no one else stands beside us. In life, sometimes we encounter both setbacks and opportunities at the very same time. Santiago experienced this when he wandered through a foreign land. He came across a dusty crystal shop on a quiet street. The shelves were cluttered, the glasses covered in dust, and customers were scarce. Santiago immediately noticed the problem. If everything were cleaned and arranged neatly, the shop would draw more attention. He offered the shopkeeper a deal. He would polish all the crystal in exchange for a meal. The shopkeeper hesitated, but Santiago didn't wait for perfect permission. He picked up a cloth and began carefully polishing each vase, each glass, paying attention to the smallest detail. Soon, the light reflected off the crystal seemed to breathe life back into the shop. Just a few hours later, 2 customers walked in and made purchases. A small step, but it opened the first door of opportunity in this strange land. In the days that followed, Santiago devoted himself to the little things in the shop. He learned how to organize, how to clean, how to serve, and he observed customers closely. Through what seemed like ordinary tasks, he began discovering his own abilities. How to capture attention, how to turn small actions into real results. Every coin earned, every customer's smile, every idea to improve the shop became preparation for the greater journey ahead, for the treasure that still awaited him. A year passed. Santiago had not only earned back twice the money he had lost, but he had also learned Arabic, gained business skills, and, most importantly, learned how to trust himself. Each day of work, each small effort, transformed him into someone different, steadier, sharper, and ready to take the next step when the larger opportunity arrived. This is what makes Santiago's journey remarkable. The distant dream was not something waiting only at the end of the road. It was built through small steps, careful choices, and days of effort that might have seemed meaningless at the time. And if you are listening to this story now, take a moment to reflect. What crystal shops exist in your own life? Which places, if you stepped into them, cared for them, and gave them your best, could become the first stepping stones toward your bigger dream? For someone truly pursuing a dream, obstacles no longer feel like punishment or unfairness. They become challenges that temper the spirit, strengthen resolve, and turn each step into a stepping stone toward growth. Because only when we dare to let go of what is safe can we reach the true shore of our dreams. At this point, Santiago faced two clear choices: remain in the stability and wealth of the crystal shop, or step beyond his comfort zone to follow the dream his heart had quietly longed for. The shopkeeper tried to persuade him to stay, reminding him of all he already had. But in Santiago's ears still echoed the King of Salem's words, "Never forget what you truly want. Do you see yourself in this moment?" How many times in life have we stood before the same choice, to continue with a secure job, a safe life, or to step out and chase the desire that no one can guarantee? Fear whispers, hesitation lingers, yet the heart keeps urging. With a fire of determination burning inside him, Santiago chose to release the wealth before him. He would not allow temporary comforts to bury his deeper longing. His purpose remained clear: to reach Egypt and to seek the treasure he had once seen in a dream. And so, he stepped forward onto a path with no certain destination. But with each step, Santiago moved closer to what he longed for. And you may feel yourself in those footsteps too, afraid, alone, yet steadfast in your dream. Because only when we dare to let go can we move toward what we truly desire. And it is the journey itself, full of trials, that shapes us into better versions of who we are meant to be. After crossing thousands of miles of desert, Santiago arrived at a small oasis, where life revealed yet another surprise. There, he met a beautiful young woman named Fatima, and with just one look into her eyes, Santiago's heart was awakened, stirred by the waves of love at first sight. Have you ever felt that moment when everything seems to stand still? When an emotion so powerful makes you forget both time and place? Santiago loved Fatima so deeply that for a moment he thought perhaps he should give up his dream, stay in the oasis, and live happily ever after by her side. But deep within, the dream of the treasure continued to echo. Santiago realized that if he abandoned it, regret would follow him for the rest of his life. Not only for himself, even his love for Fatima would eventually carry the weight of that unfulfilled choice. In that moment, he faced an important truth. Love and dreams cannot truly coexist unless we are honest with our own hearts. And so Santiago, the man in love, who nearly lost himself, awoke. He understood that the treasure was not just gold or riches, but the journey of living true to his deepest longing. With renewed determination, he bid farewell to Fatima, carrying her love and their sweet memories with him, and continued toward Egypt, toward his dream. You may also see yourself in Santiago at this moment, standing before difficult choices, when desire and fear collide in the heart, and you must decide between safety, love, and the call of a dream. Santiago chose to listen to his heart, and that decision turned his steps into a journey worth living, a journey from which each of us can learn. Someone once said, "The ones who truly live are those who know how to let go." Only when we dare to leave behind comfort and fleeting pleasures can we grasp what is truly great. Real motivation does not come from the outside, but from the quiet fire within, from the restless longing that only we ourselves can hear. And so Santiago, with a heart burning with passion, stepped into the greatest trial of his life. Crossing the desert toward Egypt, he faced moments of life and death. He was captured by soldiers, stripped of all the money he carried, and given only 3 days to save his life. Many would have broken, but Santiago did not give up. In that moment of near despair, he sought connection with the world around him. He felt the sun, listened to the wind, noticed the breath of the sand and the soul of the desert. Santiago began to understand the language of the universe, a language without words, yet filled with power and encouragement. Slowly he transformed fear into strength, limits into opportunities, and at last, he became the wind, overcoming trials that once seemed impossible. But the trials were not over. When Santiago finally reached the pyramids, he found no treasure. Instead, he was beaten by thieves who stole his gold and left him bruised and broken. From the outside, this could seem like complete failure. Yet in that very moment, through the words of one of the thieves, Santiago uncovered an unexpected truth. The real treasure was waiting back in his homeland. Do you see yourself in Santiago here? In those moments when everything seems lost? When you stand face to face with danger or defeat? Sometimes what we have been searching for lies right where we began. But only those who dare to walk the path, to endure the hardships, and to listen to their hearts can ever come to that realization. Santiago's journey was never just about finding treasure. It was a journey of self-discovery, of learning the value of persistence, of courage, and of being in harmony with the world around him. And that, too, is the lesson each of us can carry into our own lives. When you truly carry a dream your heart cannot let go of, a longing that never fades, then no matter how great the challenges, no matter how hard life becomes, it cannot break your spirit. As Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Paulo Coelho, too, reminds us that when you have the chance to turn a dream into reality, it is the pursuit itself that makes life richer and more meaningful. Each of us carries within us limitless potential. The journey of chasing a dream is not only about reaching the destination. It holds countless joys, discoveries, and experiences you would never know if you had not dared to begin. Even if the dream is never fully realized, it is that journey which brings happiness, fulfillment, and shapes you into a better version of yourself. Just like Santiago, who crossed seas, wandered deserts, traveled through distant lands, met countless people, and endured both triumphs and hardships. In the end, the treasure was waiting back home, at the very place he thought he had left behind. But if we look closely, his journey was never wasted. Every moment, every person, every trial along the way enriched his life and gave his story its true meaning. Even if Santiago had never found the treasure, the life he lived along the way was already a treasure itself. Every fear, every failure, every joy, even the moments that seemed meaningless, all of them shaped his growth, his inner strength, and the deep sense of happiness that each of us can discover on our own journey of following a dream. Life is not just the days that pass by. It is the days worth remembering. The moments you look back on and smile because you truly lived. My friends, never forget. Your dreams will always have a place in your heart, and no matter how hard the road may be, never give up on them. Even in the rush of daily life, you can still keep your dreams alive within you. No one can stop you from pursuing the life you truly want, except yourself. Every spark of motivation you need comes from within, from longing, from passion, and from the deep belief that any tomorrow can be a new beginning. So be brave enough to face the desires of your heart. Step toward your dreams. Take responsibility for your life and let it become a light that not only shines for you, but also spreads to those you love. Thank you for listening. If this video has given you a gentler perspective, or even a little inspiration, please share it with someone who may need it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the latest videos each week. And if you have any thoughts or feelings you'd like to share, leave a comment below. I would truly love to hear your story. I'll see you again in the next videos, where we continue exploring wisdom, balance, and learning to live more deeply each day.